Have you found that whenever you're really busy and you do not have time to work on something, you get a million ideas for it, and when you need ideas, none come to you? I know, that happens to me too. So what do you do when you have too many ideas? How can you keep from losing them? How can you make sure you pick the right idea? How can you make sure that you don't run out of ideas? That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. Welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm, episode 228 with me, Tara Swigert. You can find links to everything that I talk about today, along with a full transcript right at taraswigert.com/podcast228. And if you want to get these emailed to your inbox, make sure you sign up on that page and I will email you each weekly episode along with the full transcript. So when I asked the Starship what topics they most wanted me to cover on the show, what came up over and over is, what do I do when I have way too many ideas? First, I want to let you know that if that is you, you're not alone. If you both have times of no ideas at all, you have no idea what to work on, you're not sure what to do, no ideas, and then you have times of, oh my gosh, all the ideas. I have all the ideas. I can't stop thinking of ideas even to sit down and enact any of them. That's just a really normal part of the cycle. So creativity and business is cyclical. You're going to have times of planting, you're going to have times of harvesting, and you're going to have times when your field is totally fallow. Now, I grew up in rural Ohio surrounded by cornfields, so this idea of the cycles of the seasons of planting and harvesting makes a lot of sense to me, and it is absolutely true for you and your business. You are going to have times of having ideas. You're going to have times of implementing ideas, and then you're going to have times of just rest and fallowness. Each part of the cycle is important to the continuation of the cycle. So the important thing is, it is vital for your creativity to keep it alive, to keep it healthy, that you respect the season you're in, and you don't try to fight it, and you don't try to change it, and you don't try to push into the next season. It's really hard, but the more that you can honor the season you're in, the easier it's going to be for you to fully get the most out of that season and for your creativity to not feel squashed. So when you have no ideas, just rest and get to work on enacting the ideas you had before. Go back, look at your list, refresh yourself, look at where your enthusiasm is now, maybe replan your business. And when you have all the ideas, you don't want to squash them down, try to ignore them, or say, okay, I'll think about that later. Okay, I'll think about that later. Really let all of your ideas flow out of you onto something. Now, I know we can't always work on the ideas we have as soon as we have them. That's why I say you need to let them flow onto something, because some projects take so long that even if you started the minute you have the idea, you're not going to finish it for a while, and you're going to have a lot more ideas in that process of finishing it. So what do you do with all those ideas? You don't want to squash them, and you can't work on them, so what do? Well, the super simple, obvious answer, you know what I'm going to say, is you write them down. Ideally, you're going to write them down in the same place every time so that you can find the list when you're all out of ideas. Here are a few things to keep in mind when you're writing your stuff down. 1, put them where you can find them again. Go write them someplace you're going to revisit again and again, and I'll show you what I do in just a minute. But you also need to look at what else you have coming up and see if an idea fits in your plan. Sometimes you're going to come up with 10 new ideas, and one of them is going to fit perfectly into what you already have planned. In that case, make it part of the plan. Put it wherever you're keeping track of your plan. Fold it in to what you're already doing. And then also, when you're writing it down, write down any deadlines it has. So if you have an idea for a Black Friday package sale, then you need to make sure that you're getting it on your schedule in time to actually enact it. So if you need to work on it by a certain time to make it really effective, make a note of that. Maybe put it in your calendar, put it in your project management system. Make sure that you have a way of knowing when the date is that you need to work on it. Also, prioritize what you're going to work on based on a couple of things. 1, what is your current goal? What makes sense for your business? And what are you enthusiastic about? So any idea you have, you can rate. You could do if you really want numbers, you can do a rating system of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. How much in alignment is it on your current goal? Does it make a lot of sense for your business right now? and how enthusiastic are you about it? I always prioritize enthusiasm. If you've been listening to this podcast for long, you'll know that I am all about following your enthusiasm, because the more enthusiastic you are about something, the better you're going to do it, the more you're going to pour into it, the better the results are going to be. If you have an idea that you're a 0 out of 10 enthused about, just like write it down and move on. Maybe you'll be enthusiastic about it later. Maybe it's just not for you. Now, you want to keep going back and reviewing your list all the time and adding to it, adding your new ideas, adding like, oh, if I did it like that, I would want to use this software, just updating the list to reflect what you're learning and what your goals are. When you go back to the list, you want to review it. So ideally, you're going to do this when you're planning and thinking about your goal for the quarter. I hope you do quarterly map making using my book, Map Your Business. If so, when you're looking at what your goal is and what your projects are going to be for the coming quarter, go back and look at your idea list. Which idea can you fold in? Which idea makes sense for this goal now? Maybe it didn't make sense last time and it makes sense this time. At the very least, you want to look at them every 6 months. Maybe some of the ideas fit with your new goal, or maybe your goal this quarter is just to implement an idea that you had that you really love. Really important thing is you want to regularly go back and regularly enact some of your ideas, because this is going to build the trust in yourself that you're a person who follows through if something is really exciting to you. And that's important. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the last thing I want to tell you about writing your ideas down is to don't be precious about them. You're going to have a million more. So cross out the ideas you're not still excited about. Throw them away. Let them go to someone else. Like, you don't need to enact every single idea you have in order to have a successful business. In fact, part of having a successful business is letting go of the stuff that doesn't really apply to the kind of business you want to have and the direction that you're going in. So I love the idea, Neil Gaiman talks about ideas as being pumpkins that fall on your head. And you get to decide what to do with a pumpkin that falls on your head. He's like, ideas are like pumpkins floating around above everybody's head. And every once in a while you'll be walking and a pumpkin will drop on your head and you get to decide if you want to keep it or not. If you don't do anything with the pumpkin will fall on someone else's head. So he talked about that he's had story ideas that he didn't do anything with. And then 10 years later, someone publishes a really successful novel with that same idea behind it. Did they steal it from him? No. It was just an idea floating around that he had that somebody else enacted. So I say that to let you know that if you have an idea and you see someone else doing a version of it, relax. Stop paying attention to what they're doing and pay attention to what's going to work for you. So something like an Instagram challenge or writing a email series to sell your work, like these are ideas that are just out there. You need to always be generating ideas on how you can make it your own. And if you are constantly writing down new ideas and coming up with new ideas and thinking about your people and your products and your goals and your enthusiasm, the thing you come up with will be unique to you. If instead you're watching what other people do and you think, oh, I need to do that, it's not going to be unique. You can't come from the place of, I'm going to do what they do because they're successful. You need to come from the place of what makes sense and what do I want to do for my people, for me, for my enthusiasm. When you come from that place, your stuff will be unique and you just ignore what everybody else is doing. Now, when it comes to writing down ideas, I thought I'd show you what I do. I have a journal. I use day in and day out, my daily journal. This was my last one. They last me about a month. If you're not watching the video, I'll tell you via audio. It's a small, I think 5x7 Moleskine Cahier. it's what they're called. Always blank pages. Always. Not like grid or lined or anything. And what I do is when I have an idea that makes sense for this week or this month, I write it down in here. So each Monday I write a list of the projects that I want to work on that week. And then each day I choose from that list and I write down what I'm doing that day. Does that mean I write it down multiple times? Yes. But what that means is that I can focus on what I'm doing today. What I find is if I don't write down what I'm doing specifically today, I don't remember to focus on it. So now you might not be like that. You might be able to just have like one ongoing list and you just pick and then you sit down to work on it. I have to look at the list pull out what's for today, write it down in front of me, keep that open in front of me in order to stay focused. So if I have an idea that I want to, maybe it's an idea for an Instagram post, maybe it's an idea for a webinar, maybe it's an email I want to send, I write it down for this week, put it in here. If it's a bigger idea or a bigger project or something that doesn't fit with my focus right now, but I think it's going to be great for my business, I put it down in my quarterly planning journal. So this is a bigger notebook. This is like normal notebook size, I think 11 by 8. At the beginning of the year, do my yearly review in a notebook like this. I use my questions in Map Your Business, but I do it in a notebook like this because then I carry this around with me whenever I'm doing any kind of planning for the rest of the year. So I actually use all the questions from Map Your Business. I just write them down in my own journal. So I have big unlined pages. I need like big space. I'll show you some of my writing. You'll see it's kind of big. If you are listening to the audio show, you can go watch this over on YouTube. So this is, I'm trying to hold it far back enough so you can't quite see what I wrote because some of it's kind of personal. So like I write over the whole page. What I do at the beginning of the year is I get one of these bigger notebooks and I write my whole review of the last year, and then my upcoming plans for the new year, again, using all the questions in Map Your Business about what lessons did I learn, what do I want to accomplish, what are my core desired feelings, what are the numbers I want to hit in what areas, and then each quarter I do my map or my plans for the quarter in this same book, so that when I sit down to do quarter 4 is coming up, I can see what my goal was for quarter 1, if I hit it or not. I also do my monthly reviews in here. I can remind myself what were my core values for the year and the core desired feelings, the things I wanted to release or move through, what was my focus, what are my North Stars. I can look at that when I do my quarterly planning, which helps me like remember the big picture. And I can also look at previous goals and previous quarters and what happened or didn't happen, because both my quarterly goal and my monthly review is all in one book. So this is why I made Map Your Business. So Map Your Business could be that book for the whole year. It has 4 quarterly map makings in it. It has 12 monthly reviews. You can start it at any part of the year, use it for one whole year, 12 months in that book. So when I have ideas that are big, I just go to my quarterly planning notebook and I write them down there. And then when it's time to replan, whether it's like time for a new goal or it's just my quarterly review, I will see those ideas written down and remember, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. Now might be a good time for that. Now I also write my stuff down in one more place, and that's Asana. So I use Asana. It's totally free. It's not like sponsored or anything. It's free for you to sign up. I put my projects in Asana. So like I wanted to change the Starship, right? When I made the Starship program, I first started taking notes in my big quarterly planning notebook of what I wanted it to include. And then I opened up Asana and I made tasks for everything, because it was a project with many moving parts. It wasn't something I could just accomplish by the end of the week, and it wasn't something that I wanted to wait to like plan and find a time for. I immediately had a deadline in mind. I immediately knew what needed to be done. Not immediately. I mean, I took a couple days of planning and thinking it out and longhand writing it out. I opened up Asana, I put all the tasks in, I assigned them to people on my team, and I put in the due dates. So often ideas will move from notebooks to Asana, and then if Asana tells me what to do this week, that are the projects I'm working on, the podcast, the repeating things, and also big projects, I then will write it down in my weekly notebook to focus on, because for me, handwriting it means I'm going to be able to remember it. So you might think, well, that's kind of repetitive, but it's not for me. Because a repeating task like Asana telling me to record the podcast and write the transcript and link up the stuff, make the image, I just have that as a checklist so I remember to do it, so my brain doesn't have to remember what to do. I write it down so I have it handwritten with me, so even when I'm not on my computer and I don't have Asana open, I can still remember what it is I need to do. So that's how I keep track of my ideas, how I write them down. That's pretty straightforward, right? So when I get asked this question, I always think, well, you just write it down. It doesn't really matter where you write it down as long as you review it. Like if I write things down in my weekly notebook and I get to the end of it, I just like flip through it when I start my new notebook, write down anything I didn't do on like a new page of my notebook, like, hey, projects to follow up on. I know I'm either going to add them to Asana, or I'm going to work on them that week, or I'm just going to let go of them. And that seemed pretty straightforward, but whenever people ask me this question, they seem kind of panicky about it, or desperate, or worried. And I wondered, why does it upset people so much to have too many ideas? That doesn't seem like a bad thing, right? Not when your business is based on you having ideas and enacting them. But I have a couple reasons why it might stress you out to have too many ideas. The first is that it's frustrating to feel really enthusiastic about something and not get to work on it right away. That's just annoying. Like, if you are, I always find, like, when I have the flu, I have all these ideas, but I don't really have the brain space or the capacity to work on them. That's annoying. But you need to trust yourself to come back to the ideas. And then it's really important that you do come back to the ideas. I can trust my kind of slapdash system of handwriting plus Asana because I've shown myself over the years that I will come back to ideas. I will take action on things that matter to me. The more you both review your list and then do the ideas you wrote down, the more you're going to build up that self-trust and that confidence, and you'll start to believe that you will get to it eventually. So it's okay that you don't get to it now. You will soon feel less stressed about having all these ideas you're not acting on because you know you're going to come back to them and do them soon. Now, you might still have moments where you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all this all done? But you'll know that you're the kind of person that gets it done. And that is huge. And I can tell you from personal experience, it does get less stressful to have too many ideas. When I first started my business, in 2006, when I first went full-time in 2009, I would just my notebooks are crazed with me writing down ideas, trying to capture every nuance of the idea so that I wouldn't lose it, so I wouldn't forget it. And over time, I've just built the trust with myself that I know I'm going to come back to it. I know it's going to be fine. I know I'm going to have more ideas because I act on my ideas. Not really worried about it. And I was messaging with my friend Jolie of Jolie Creates before I got started. And I asked her, what do you do when you have too many ideas? And she's like, well, I write it down and then I do them. And I was like, right. Because she's had years of doing what she wrote down she was going to do. So she trusts herself that she'll come back to it. So it's not very stressful for her. So I just wanted to tell you, if you feel stressed out about it now, work on taking action. You'll feel less stressed in the future about this. Now, the second reason it might really panic you to have too many ideas is that you worry about picking the right idea. You worry that if you have 5 ideas, what if you don't pick the right one? Which of these 5 is right? That's not really about what to do when you have too many ideas. It's more about what to do when you don't know what to do. So, if you worry about this, I have a secret to tell you. It is a secret that most successful people know, and it's going to totally change your life. That's not just a clickbait title. It will totally change your life. Are you ready for the secret of picking the right idea? There is no right idea. There is no right answer. Accept that. I'm totally serious. So if you have an idea to do an Instagram challenge, or you have an idea to do a Black Friday sale, you know what? Taking action on either of those ideas is going to move your business forward. Both ideas will grow great. Both ideas will likely grow your business. There isn't a right choice between the two choices. Maybe you're trying to decide your goal should be a sales goal or should be an engagement with your community goal. Either one is going to grow your business. There isn't a right choice. There is only choices that can be rated from, if you have 5 ideas, 1 to 5 on the following. Do they make sense for your current goal with where you want your business to go, big picture, and then in the present moment, in the short term, where do you want your business to go? Does it make sense for your current ability? Do you know how to do the thing you want to do? You can absolutely learn to do more new things, but is this in alignment with where you are right now? Sometimes people want to do things for their business that doesn't make sense because they don't have either the audience to make it work, or it just doesn't make sense because that's not where they should focus their energy right now. I'll talk about that in a minute. So does it make sense for your current goal? Does it make sense for your current ability and business level? And does it make sense for your current enthusiasm level about this project? Are you super enthusiastic about it, or do you feel meh? Rate each project, then just pick one. That's it. because there's no right answer. You have total freedom to just go with where you want to go. Now, one way to look at it is that there's no right answer because no one knows the answer. You have to try and see. You have to do things. You have to try things. You have to do it to know if it's right. Now, the other way to look at this that might be more relaxing for you, those of you who really want to get it right, the flip side, the way to look at it is that every answer is the right answer. Taking action at all in your business is always better than not taking action. Any action you take is going to help your business, so they're all the right answer. Everything you do, if you pay attention and you learn from your successes and your failures, everything you do is going to be progress. So if it stresses you out to hear that there's no right answer, tell yourself every answer is the right answer. Every action is better than no action. Now, I'm sure that you're thinking of 50 examples of things that would be really bad for you to do. Just like you're not going to do those things. What I mean is, of your choices that are good choices, that you feel excited about, that you feel enthusiastic about, that are based on you, your business, and your customers, it's all going to help. Now, remember that there are very few things you need to do in your business. They are, in this order: have enough products in your shop, make sure they're priced for profitability. That's why in the Starship program I teach about profitability. The next thing is to show up consistently communicating with your community. This is called marketing, and you need to get more consistent at it, which is why we talk about it in the Starship program. You need to go where your buyers are. The third thing you need to do, after you've got enough things in your shop and you're showing up for your community and you're focusing on communicating with them clearly, the third thing is to reach out to new audiences, like doing a craft show in a new market, getting into new shops, getting reviewed on somebody's blog or interviewed on somebody's blog, or paying an Instagram influencer to talk about your thing. All of those things are reaching new audiences. Within those areas, within those three things that your business needs from you, you're going to have a goal or a focus. Maybe you're focused on increasing your sales this much. Maybe you're focused on increasing your engagement this much when you post something on Instagram. So from that, of your list of ideas, pick the ideas that aligns with that current goal. It's only going to be in one of those three areas. Can't think of many more. You're going to spend some time goal setting and getting clear on where you want to go in the beginning, right? Your mission and your map, and then have enough products and they're priced right. Show up consistently, communicating with your buyers, and then reaching out to new audiences of your possible buyers. So within that, you'll have a goal. You pick the ideas that align with that goal. That's it. All answers are right answers. Now, above all of this is only going to work if you learn to trust yourself. You are going to have more ideas. You are going to implement the really great ideas. You're going to have successes with your ideas. You're also going to have some ideas that don't pan out. Either they're super hard to implement and so you don't, or they're just not. They don't have the results you wanted, or you just don't like doing it. And you know what? You'll learn from each of those situations. And that is going to be what moves you forward. Taking action, learning from the results, that's what's going to move you forward in your business. So don't let having too many ideas keep you from taking action. Don't get stuck in thinking about your ideas. Write them down, trust you'll come back to them, and start taking action. The crazy thing is, the more action you take, the more ideas you get. I get asked all the time, how are you prolific? How do you come up with new podcast episodes? How do you keep writing Instagram posts every day? The answer is just the more you do it, the easier it is to do. And I heard this way back when I started my blog. The more blog posts you write, the easier it is to write blog posts. You start seeing them everywhere. And literally once a week, I'll have a conversation with my husband and he'll go, this should be a podcast episode. So take action and you'll get more ideas. They're not a limited resource. So I super hope this helps you if you've been feeling frustrated with your too many ideas. If you found this helpful, please share it with your friends. This week, I'd like you to do something special. I'd like you to snap a picture or a screenshot of you listening, whether it's on Facebook or it's on a podcast app, and share it on your Instagram stories. I want you all to be using Instagram stories if you're not already. So share it on your Instagram stories and be sure to tag me. I'm at Tara Swigert, and tag it, hashtag explore your enthusiasm, so you guys can all see each other, especially the day this comes out. and the next week you'll see other people listening. Tell me what you've learned. Just snap a picture and share it. Tag me at @Tarswiger and #Explore Your Enthusiasm. Then go and subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, and review it in that podcast app or give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Doing this helps new people find it, and it means a lot to me. Your reviews mean so much, and I actually have a plan to do giveaways in the coming weeks for people who have left a review on iTunes. So if you haven't left a review yet, go to iTunes. It's super easy to leave a review. You can do it from within your phone or your computer. So go review to be entered to win some cool stuff I'll tell you about in coming weeks. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you an idea-filled, action-filled, enthusiastic day.